And they took me away to the north, and I saw there a man bound with chains. And I asked, Who is this? And he said to me, This is he who said, I am the Son of God, that made stones bread and water wine. And the prophet said, My Lord, let me know what is his form, and I shall tell the race of man that they may not believe in him. And he said to me, The form of his countenance is like that of a wild beast, his right eye like the star that rises in the morning, and the other without motion, the mouth 1 cubit, the teeth span long, his fingers like scythes, the track of his feet of 2 spans, and in his face an inscription, Antichrist. He has been exalted to heaven, he shall go down to Hades. At one time he shall become a child, at another an old man. And the prophet said, Lord, how dost thou permit him, and he deceives the race of men? And God said, Listen, my prophet, he becomes both child and man, and no one believes him that he is my beloved son. And after this a trumpet, and the tomb shall be opened, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible. Then the adversary, hearing the dreadful threatening, shall be hidden in outer darkness. Then the heaven and the earth and the sea shall be destroyed. Then shall I burn the heaven 80 cubits, and the earth 800 cubits. And God said, Since the adversary, having heard the dreadful threatening, shall be hidden, even on account of this will I melt the earth, and with it the opponent of the race of men. After 7 days I had a dream during the night. I looked and saw a wind rising from the sea and stirring up all its waves. As I watched, the wind made something like the figure of a man come up out of the heart of the sea. That man was flying among the clouds of heaven. Wherever he turned his face to look, everything that fell under his gaze trembled. Wherever an utterance came from his mouth, all who heard his voice melted as wax melts when it feels the fire. I kept watching these things, and an innumerable multitude of people came together from the 4 winds of heaven to fight against the man who had come up out of the sea. I watched as he carved a great mountain for himself and flew unto it. I tried to see the region of place from which the mountain was carved, but I couldn't. After this I looked and saw that all who had gathered to do battle against him were sorely afraid, yet they dared to fight. When he saw the rush of the multitude coming, he didn't raise his hand, or hold a spear, or any weapons of war. Rather I saw something like a wave of fire shoot forth from his mouth, and a breath of flame from his lips, and a storm of sparks from his tongue. All these things, the wave of fire, the breath of flame, and the mighty storm, mixed together and fell upon the crowd that was rushing forward, prepared to fight. It burned them all up, so that suddenly nothing was seen of the innumerable mob except the dust of ashes and the smell of smoke. I saw this and was amazed. After these things I saw the same man coming down from the mountain, calling to himself another crowd, a peaceful one. Many people came to him. Some were rejoicing, some were sad, some were even tied up, while some were bringing other people as an offering. I woke up in great fear, pleaded with the Most High, and said, From the beginning you showed your servant these wonders, and you considered me worthy that you should receive my prayer. Now show me also the interpretation of this dream. As I turn it over in my mind, I think, how terrible it will be for those who will be left in those days, and how much worse for those who aren't left. Those who aren't left will be full of sorrow, since they now know what lies in store for the last days, but they won't live to see them. But how terrible it will be also for those who are left. For that very reason, they will see great dangers, and there will be many kinds of distress, as these dreams show. Yet it is better to encounter these things, even incurring danger, than to pass from the world like a cloud and not see what happens at the end. He answered me, I will tell you the interpretation of the dream as well, and I will explain to you the things you spoke about. As to what you said about those who are left, this is the interpretation. He who brings the danger at that time will himself guard those who fall into danger, who have works and faith in the Most High. Know therefore that those who are left enjoy greater privilege than those who have died. The interpretation of the visions are as follows. In that you saw a man going up from the heart of the sea. This is the one whom the Most High has been keeping for many ages. He will liberate God's creation all by himself, and he will put in order those who are left. In that you saw something like wind and fire and storm go out of his mouth, and that he didn't hold a spear or weapon of war, yet destroyed the rush of the multitude that had come to fight him. Here is the interpretation. Look, the days are coming when the Most High will begin to rescue those who are on the earth. Those who live on earth will go out of their minds. They will plan to wage war against each other, city against city, place against place, nation against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. When these things happen, and the sign that I showed you before take place, then my Son will be revealed, whom you saw as a man rising up. When all the nations hear his voice, then each one will leave its own region, and will leave off the wars they were waging against each other. An innumerable mob will be gathered together, as you saw, wanting to come and fight against him. But he will take his stand on the summit of Mount Zion. Zion will come and will appear to all, built and ready, as you saw a mountain carved without hands. My Son himself will indict the assembled nations for their impious deeds. These things were indicted by the storm. He will scold them for their evil plans and reveal the torments with which they are to be tortured. These things correspond to the flame. He will destroy them without effort by the law, which was indicted by the flame. As to the fact that you saw him collecting to himself another peaceful multitude, these are the 10 tribes that were taken captive from their lands in the days of the king Hosea, whom King Shalmaneser of the Assyrians took across the river as a captive. They were taken into another land, but they made this plan for themselves. They would leave the multitude of the nations and go into a more remote region where the human race had never lived. There they would be able to observe their customs, which they hadn't kept in their own region. They went in through the narrow passages of the Euphrates River. Then the Most High gave them signs and stopped the flow of the river until they had passed. They made a long journey through the region for a year and a half, and that region is called Ezra. They lived there until the last time, and now they begin again to return. The Most High will once again stop the flow of the river so they can cross. These people make up the multitude gathered in peace, along with those who are left of your people who are found within my holy boundaries. Then when he begins to destroy the multitude of the nations that are gathered, he will protect the people who have survived. Then he will show them many more signs. I said, Supreme Lord, show me why I saw a man rising up from the heart of the sea. He said to me, just as no one can seek out or know what is in the depth of the sea, so no one on earth can see my Son or those who are with him, except in that time when his day has come. This is the interpretation of the dream that you saw, which has enlightened you alone of all the people. You have abandoned your own affairs and occupied yourself with mine, and you have sought out my law. You have given your life to wisdom, and have called understanding your mother. Because of this, I have shown you these things, for you have a reward with the Most High. After 3 days I will tell you more, and explain to you weighty and wonderful things. I went out from there into a large field, glorifying and praising the Most High for the wonders he performed over time. And because he governs the times and all that comes about in its times, I stayed there for 3 days.